So how can a story about a crocodile and a flower explain one of the biggest, most dangerous traps in all of human psychology? Well, that is exactly what we are diving into today. It's a tale that pulls back the curtain on a powerful force that can completely hijack our decision-making.
And this, right here, this is the key. This is the absolute core of our entire story. It's this deep, primal feeling that can make you, me, any of us do some pretty wildly irrational things. So keep that fear in mind as we meet our main character.
All right, so let's meet him. This is Croak. He's just a regular crocodile living in this quiet little town called Sadafabad. And his life, it's pretty simple. It's work, save, repeat. Every single day is basically the same. And he has this one big dream, to save up enough to buy a bigger boat. That's it. That's his whole world.
And, there's a certain comfort in that routine, right? The gentle flow of the river, the daily catch, it's predictable, it's safe. But here's the thing about those quiet, predictable lives. They're often the ones that get shaken up the most when something totally new, something completely unexpected comes along. And for Croak, well, a storm was brewing on the horizon.
And it all started with a flower. Specifically, tulip bulbs. I mean, nobody had ever really cared about these things before, but all of a sudden, they were everywhere. And at first, Croak, along with everyone else in town, was just kinda scratching his head.
Yeah, this was Croak's immediate thought. And it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? He's a practical guy. He understands things you can touch, things that are useful, like fish and boats. Shells are money. They have real, tangible value. But a flower bulb? Come on! To him, it seemed totally worthless. But, as we're about to see, logic doesn't always have a place when the crowd gets excited.
But then, this is where things start to change. It started with whispers, a story here, a rumor there. Croak sees his neighbor suddenly sporting this fancy new pearl necklace after selling just a couple of worthless bulbs. And pretty soon, nobody at the market is talking about fish anymore. It was all tulips, all the time.
Okay, so at first, the price was nothing crazy. 10 shells, maybe what you'd pay for a nice dinner. It was weird, a little bit of a novelty, but definitely not life-changing.
And then it jumped. 100 shells. Whoa. Okay, and now we're talking about a serious chunk of change for most folks in town. The buzz started getting a lot louder. You could literally feel the excitement building in the air.
And then, boom, 1,000 shells. Just an insane, unbelievable number. We're talking life-changing money overnight. The town was absolutely gripped by a full-blown frenzy. At this point, logic had packed its bags and left town.
And of course, to justify all this madness, everyone started saying the same thing. You hear this line every single time there's a bubble. Oh, this is a new economy. The old rules don't apply anymore. The classic belief that this time it's different. That somehow, for this one special thing, the basic laws of value just don't exist.
So let's pause and think about what's going on inside Croak's head, because this is the really important part. He's seeing all of this unfold, and his logical brain is screaming at him, but it's in this epic battle with that other, much more powerful instinct we talked about, that deep, deep fear of being left behind.
And this just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one shoulder, you've got his logic, the voice of reason. It's calm, it's collected, it's making perfect sense. But on the other shoulder, you've got this nagging, relentless voice of fear, the one that whispers, everyone else is getting rich, you're the only one missing out.
And in the end, the fear won. It just completely took over. He wasn't thinking with his head anymore, he was feeling with that awful, twisting anxiety in his gut. And he did it. He sold the boat, his life's work. He ran to the market, pushed his way through the crazy crowd, and spent every last shell he had on one single bulb. And you know what? In that moment, he probably felt a huge wave of relief. He wasn't on the outside anymore. He'd finally joined in.
He must have gone to bed that night feeling like a genius, right? Like he'd finally cracked the code and joined the winning team. But here's the thing about bubbles. They always pop, and when the sun came up the next morning, something was different. The party atmosphere was gone. In its place was this quiet, cold, chilling feeling.
The marketplace was silent, like dead silent. All the frantic shouting and buying from the day before, gone, poof, vanished. Suddenly, there wasn't a single buyer left,
Not at any price. The same crowd that was fighting to buy yesterday was now in a full-blown panic, desperate to sell, but there was no one to sell to.
Now let's just take a moment to really let that sink in. Think about what Kroc actually paid. It wasn't just 1,000 shells, no. He traded his entire life for this. His boat, his savings, every single thing he had ever worked for was now locked inside that one tiny little bulb.
And here it is, the brutal, devastating reality of a crash. In less than 24 hours, the value didn't just drop, it completely evaporated. It went to zero. And Krayok was just left there, standing in the middle of the silent market, holding a worthless plant, staring at the empty spot where his boat, his dream, used to be.
Wow, what a tragic story. But here's the thing, it's not just Kronek's story. What happened to him and to that whole town is something that happens over and over again. It actually has a name. It's one of the most powerful traps in all of psychology. So, let's break down what actually happened. And this really gets to the heart of it. Kroc didn't buy a tulip bulb. Not really. What he bought was excitement. He bought a way to silence that awful feeling of being left behind. He basically paid a huge premium just to get rid of his anxiety. It was like buying a ticket to a party you couldn't stand being left out of. And there's the official term for it, herd mentality. It's this deep, primal instinct we all have to just follow the group. And it's so powerful that it can literally switch off the part of our brain that thinks for itself. The herd doesn't stop to ask questions or look at the facts. It just moves. And sometimes it moves right off a cliff.
So how does this trap actually work? Well, it really stands on two big pillars. First, you've got something called social proof. This is our brain's lazy shortcut. It just thinks, hey, if everyone's doing it, it must be the right thing to do, right? But then you pour gasoline on that fire with the second pillar, FOMO, the fear of missing out. That's the emotional panic that just hijacks everything and makes people like Kroc throw all logic out the window and leap. Okay, so if we know this is such a powerful force, the million-dollar question is, what do we do about it? How do we actually fight back? How can you and I build up a defense so we don't end up like Kroc?
Well, the antidote isn't easy, but it's simple. It's all about having a plan before the craziness starts. First, know what your goals are, not what the crowd's goals are. Second, do your own homework. Don't just listen to the rumors and stories. And this last one, this is the toughest one. You have to learn to trust your own judgment, because that's what gives you the guts to stand still when everyone else is stampeding.
Look, in the end, this story isn't really about a crocodile and a flower, is it? It's about us. We have all felt that pull. Maybe it's in the stock market, or with a new trend, or with career choices. Kroc's story is just a powerful reminder that the biggest, loudest crowd is rarely the smartest one. So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you feel the ground shake, the next time the herd starts to run, are you going to run with them, or are you going to have the courage to stand your ground?